Hello there and welcome to Unapologetically Mum. It's Emma here. So today is what the day? Wednesday, and it's a rainy day and I've got a jumper on and I'm feeling a bit cozy and I'm here and I want to talk about a more personal thing today. So not talking about kind of updates or laws or care acts, but we're talking about us people, us people that care for or advocate for or parent people with special needs, disabled people, and we act on their behalf at times and help them to build the life that they want, and the toll that it takes on us really, and maybe other members of our family. And I want to talk about that a little bit because I've been feeling it a bit myself. I've been feeling achy in my body, and I'm noticing that the will and the power to, and the, I guess, like what happens when you eventually run out of steam, which of course you will, and I was talking to a friend today and saying that when I was in like the real deep thick of it, of like trying to advocate to get my daughter a home, a house, and there was a real big energy and lots of adrenaline and lots of anger and lots of emotion, and it like fills me and fuels me and propels me. But actually it's like a really short-term boost that is good and it's needed, because it gets you through and it gets the things that you need to get, and it's that fighting spirit, and you go out in the battle and you hack down all the old things that need to be hacked down, or the things that are wrong with the system, and that you challenge them, and you bring some awareness to things, and you're doing that good work. But actually, that level of fighting, advocating, pointing out, and like coming up against a really antiquated system is exhausting, and it's not sustainable to fight that hard. The hardness of fighting to get yourself over the hump, just has to give in at some point. And I noticed that I'm kind of at that point. Things have slowed down a little bit in terms of like immediate need. She's in her home now. She still doesn't have support, and we're managing that, and we're still sort of waiting to hear about the financial assessment, and that's taking time. And and so then it's not calling that same amount of energy. But then in that, it's quite a hard place, I think, because when like you're fired up, when you're angry, when you're fired up, it's, I don't know, I find it quite easy to let myself be propelled by that. But then when I haven't got that, then what propels me? What makes me carry on advocating and fighting, or I don't know whether fighting's the right word, but like doing the things I want to do and pointing out injustices. And you could just go on and on, because there's just so much. And also, what do you do with all of those emotions, like for ages, where the unjustness, the anger, the vexation, the fear, the just the feeling of knocking your head against a brick wall, the feeling of not being heard, of not being understood, really, really big feelings, alongside the feeling then of, you know, supporting, being kind, being loving, being gentle, being, you know, to the person, to the people in your life that you love, you know, and also keeping yourself under control, because we're in this system of like, you know, if you raise your voice to anyone, if you say anything, they're, you know, they have a right to not be shouted at in their workplace, which is absolutely fine. You know, I agree with that. But where do you put all your emotions? You know, they're big, 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 big things, and they're challenging things. And what do you do with all those feelings? And, you know, a lot of the time we don't do anything with them, and they stay in our bodies. And previously in my life, I have been a therapist. I have a PGCEE, so a postgraduate certificate in emotional education, and I was a trained massage therapist and a trained emotional cellular healer, along the, not with the Barbara Brennan School, but with a teacher of the Barbara Brennan School. And I used to head up to Forres to do cellular energy healing. So, you know, very much mind, body, spirit realm that I worked in. And so, you know, I'm very aware of how our emotions can then affect our physical bodies, and how, you know, how self-care is so important. But of course, you know, I know all these things and probably don't do them. As you know, I'm sure we all are in that place of like, we, just because we know it doesn't mean we do it. But I find myself that now, you know, I've got these strange kind of pains in my arm and in my hip, and, you know, specifically my arms in the last couple of months, in my joint here, and my muscles are hurting. And, you know, I was like thinking about what's caused this, and I haven't had a particular injury or anything like that, but they kind of hurt, and they're heavy, and they ache, and the muscles ache, as if, you know. And I was saying to my partner, you know, like, it's just like carrying something really, really heavy, and then your arms really ache, and I'm trying to like straighten this arm, and this whole joint here is really hurting when I do that. And, you know, and it makes sense. It's like the burden I've been carrying, and, you know, just carrying all this stuff, carrying the weight of it, carrying the weight of that responsibility. And of course I want to do all those things. And, you know, people could say, well, you have a choice. And, you know, I'm not saying I don't want to do it, but there just is a natural consequence to those things, to being in that system, you know, which is really heavy, and, you know, what feels like fighting for things that are rightfully yours. And, you know, holding yourself, holding those emotions, holding the line, holding, you know, not swearing at everybody, fighting with everybody, shouting at everybody, you know, holding yourself with dignity and poise and strength, supporting your person with kindness and care. And, you know, it's a lot. If those were physical things, you know, I don't know, like, I'm in my 50s, and I remember, was it Crackerjack? Oh, I don't know, and they're holding all those, they're holding in all those things with Stu Pop Francis, and like, they're putting them on, and it's a kids show, and these kids, and then they've got these cabbages on, and they've got to like hold all the things. And it's like that, if all those emotional things were, if all that emotional energy were actual physical things, and, you know, we had to hold them, and for years and years and years and years, yeah, your arms are gonna bloody ache. you know, and this is what I'm experiencing now. And so my body is giving me those signals that I need more self-care, that I need, you know, that my arms are tired, and what can I do about that? You know, because sometimes it's a catch. Yeah, of course, we'd love to. It's a catch-22 situation, and we'd love to put all these things down. We would love for the system to feel kind and supportive and take that away. But, you know, sometimes we're just not in a place to put those burdens down. And what do we do then? What do we do then? How do we support ourselves when, you know, we've got this big armful of stuff, because it's not just that. We're not just that. You know, there's also jobs to keep, there's homes to keep, there's relationships to keep, there's other children to keep, there's grandchildren to keep. You know, the burden and sense of responsibility is big. And so, yeah, just to share, I don't know if I have any particular remedies, you know. I'm not going to go, oh, do this, do that, because it's like another thing then that you have to do. I don't know, that's what I'm finding right now, is like I've got all these tools. Oh yeah, I could journal and I could this and I could that, but actually, do you know what? It is just another thing to do, and it's ridiculous. It's like, oh, go get a massage, you know, and it's like, that should be quite easy and lovely, but it's like another thing to do. I don't know if you feel like that. It's just like, oh God, you know, like I can't actually be bothered to go and get a massage. I can't actually be bothered to nurture myself. I am like done. And it's okay. I just want to say, you know, it's okay. And and I think that sharing like this and saying, hey, you know, this is how I'm feeling, and I don't have anything in the tank. I don't even have enough in the tank for my own self-care. And I just think saying that and recognizing that, and, you know, my teacher, my cellular energetic teacher, Chitsa De Jong, used to say, hold yourself as gentle as a butterfly. And I just thought, oh gosh, yeah, holding myself as gentle as a butterfly, so gently, so carefully, as not to, so, you know, like being careful about the fragility of yourself. And it was such a lovely thing for me, because I think I would go around like a bull in a china shop with myself. I'd hold myself like a tough thing and push forward and put my armor on and swing my sword and slay the dragons, and, you know, and holding myself as gentle as a butterfly was like, you know, was a new thing for me. And so, yeah, today, even if you haven't got enough energy to self-care, to journal, to do whatever it is, to even go for a walk, to cook something nice for yourself, it's okay. It's okay. You are where you are. You feel where you feel. And just recognize all that you're doing, all that you're feeling, all that you've had to do. It's so much, and you're so brilliant. And yeah, that's my sharing for today. So I hope it resonates with you, and I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear how you're feeling and what's difficult for you, and even though we might not have an answer, because quite often there's just not an answer. There's just sharing and hearing and holding space for each other. So let me know in the comments how you're feeling today. Okay, bye for now. Take care.